Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us this morning for Calling All Veterans Day, the virtual conference. I'm Deb Burton, founder and creator of the nonprofit RI Elder Info and the award-winning rielderinfo.com, the most comprehensive, expert-curated, multilingual online resource for Rhode Island seniors, caregivers, and professionals. It's our mission to empower people throughout the aging process by providing easy, one-stop access to a comprehensive suite of information and resources. It's our core belief that information is power, and no one should struggle to live a healthy, safe, dignified, and happy life from a lack of it, especially not our veterans or their families. Please post your comments and questions below, and please make sure to share this with your friends. There are a lot of people out there who need this information. I would like to bring up my first guest, the Honorable Lieutenant Governor Dan McKee, if he is with us at the moment, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. We're waiting a couple minutes there to see if he was available. Welcome, Lieutenant Governor. Thank you for joining us today. If you'd like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Hi, Deb. How you doing? I would love to lead you to Pledge of Allegiance. I have a flag right here.
Perfect. And they'll be
okay
as well.
So I should start now?
Yes, indeed.
Okay, let me turn and to the flag, and I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the Republic of the United States of America. I pledge allegiance to the flag. Are we on now? Sorry about that. I just want to make sure we're on. Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I didn't know we were on, but I hope that we were able to start that off, but I do have my flag in the background there, Deb.
Thank you. Oh, you lost your...
I think we got it done, right?
Yes, indeed. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule to do this. This has been great. Thank you. Calling All Veterans Day would not be what it is without the support of your office, the expertise of Ben Barber, who's behind the scenes from your office, who's working really hard for us. Of course, we have to say thank you to the Office of Veterans Services and the support of our sponsors, Raytheon, Cross Country Mortgage, England Studios, and Concord Home Health.
Yeah, well, Deb, thank you for your work, and I'm looking forward to hearing what's going on your program, and encourage. And you were able to join me last night on our broadcast to give a little update on what you're going to do here today. And so I think that everybody who's listening and sharing out this program to all their networks, as we will. There's going to be very valuable information and a very important time frame to be helping our veterans as we all are, dealing with this COVID-19 virus, and it's put a lot of different challenges in our lives, and the veterans are part of that group that are challenged. So the information you've delivered today, very valuable, Deb. So thank you for your leadership.
Thank you very much, Lieutenant Governor. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. So our premier sponsor, Raytheon, believed in this event while it was still in the infancy planning stages more than a year ago. I'd like to welcome Wade Knudsen, Deputy of Naval Power for Raytheon Technologies, to say a few words. Welcome, Wade.
Hi, Deb. How are you?
Very good.
Great. Thanks for much. Thanks so much for having me today, and thanks for the opportunity to be here with this group. Raytheon Technologies is proud to be a sponsor of this year's Calling All Veterans Day event. And it's so important in helping our veterans in Rhode Island find the resources they need to empower independent aging for veterans of all eras and their spouses and their parents. Now, I wish we could have gathered in person, but the COVID-19 pandemic has caused us to once again show our innovation and creativity in conducting this event virtually. And I know it will be a great day for everyone. As a proud veteran with over 30 years in the Navy, both as a naval aviator and test pilot, I feel extremely fortunate for having had the opportunity to serve our country. And like Rhode Island Elder Info, Raytheon Technologies also promotes and recognizes our veterans' identity within our company by increasing their visibility and contributions. Our core values of trust, respect, collaboration, innovation, and accountability are completely aligned with the mission of Rhode Island Elder Care's mission of empowering independent aging for veterans. And through our Ray Vets Employee Resource Group, we provide not only veterans, but all employees who wish to join and support this group an opportunity to understand veterans and help to enhance our collective ability to collaborate, network, and partner together. Now, our veterans' unique experiences, just like for you, the product knowledge they have and the customer-centric insights they're a competitive discriminator for us. And together we harness that expertise to optimize solutions for today's warfighters. So today's virtual Calling All Veterans Day, I know will be a great opportunity for over 9,000 World War II Korean veterans, World War II and Korean veterans to learn the resources that are available to them. This is all on your website, and I learned a lot. 21,000 Vietnam veterans to learn what regulations and benefits have changed and been updated since they returned home. And they may find out that they're eligible for more services than they might expect. And there's over 15,000 Gulf War and today's conflicts folks returning home and finding that they might be in the role of being a caregiver for their aging parents. So it's a great opportunity for them to learn. And I know that that they will take a lot away from today's event. So once again, thank you for the opportunity to participate, and I hope today is as rewarding as it is educational for all. Thanks again.
Thank you very much, Wade, and thank you for the support of Raytheon Technologies. I'd like to welcome Susan Pomfret, the Vice President of Heckham Lending at Cross Country Mortgage, our major sponsor, to say a few words. I've known Susan for many years as a fierce advocate for older Rhode Islanders. Welcome, Susan.
Thank you, Deb. Good morning, everyone, and thank you, veterans, for your service. Cross Country is honored to be a sponsor of this important event, and thank you, Rhode Island Elder Info, for doing this. Together with my coworker, Christine Camoli, who is the Regional Director of VA Initiatives here at Cross Country Mortgage, we work together to help veterans and their families. We offer home equity conversion mortgages for those 62 or older, reverse mortgages for those 60 and older, and many VA home financing options. We have a branch in Greenville, Rhode Island, and branches throughout the United States. So we're here to help veterans and their families. Feel free to contact me at 401-595-7300 or susan.pomfret@myccmortgage.com. Enjoy this great event.
Thank you so much, Susan, and thank you for your sponsorship. I also have to say a special thank you to England Studios, the award-winning web design wizards who designed and built rielderinfo.com and really made it into its own award-winning website. I'd also like to say thank you to Concord Home Health for their sponsorship. And hello to everyone at Commonwealth Assisted Living. They're hosting a watch party brunch for the community right now. And thank you to our supporters who will be listed at the bottom of the screen. Please be sure to post your questions and comments below. Our speakers are more than happy to answer your questions. Any questions that can't be answered in the time of the event, I will make sure to follow up with our speakers to get you the answers and then reply under your comments. And now, without further ado, I am honored to welcome the newly appointed Director of the Providence VA Healthcare System, Mr. Lawrence Connell. Welcome, Director Connell.
Thanks, Deb. I hope everybody can hear me okay. And thank you very much for inviting me to speak today. I am the new director. I've been in the job, I think, maybe 5 weeks already. So I'm still a newlywed here in the Providence VA. Look, I'm a military veteran myself. I spent 30 years active duty in the Army, and then I moved to the VA. I just came out of Washington, D.C. as the Chief of Staff at the Veterans Health Administration. And when Providence opened up, this is my home state. I jumped on it. So I'm here, and I'm excited to speak to all our veterans. Listen, our coverage area in Rhode Island, Southeast Mass, and as well as the Cape and the Islands, where we serve about 36,000 veteran patients who are active with us. It's a pretty big area. Many of you know, we have a medical center in Providence, as well as the outpatient clinics known as C-Box in Middletown, Hyannis, and New Bedford, Mass. We offer both inpatient and outpatient care with more than 30 specialties at our hospital. And if we don't have the specialty you need, or if we can't get you seen in a reasonable amount of time, we'll find a VA network provider in your community. We are, of course, part of what we call the Big VA. It's the largest integrated healthcare system in the nation, but we'll get you that care that you need. In fact, just kind of to show you how we operate, as many of you know, there's a lot of snowbirds in Rhode Island who get their care from Florida during the winter months and spend the rest of the year with us in Providence. That care is relatively seamless when they move from Florida back up to Rhode Island. So wherever you are in the U.S., the VA can provide eligible veterans with very comprehensive health care, with depending on your disability, with no premium to pay. Though I do want to note that depending on your disability rating from VBA and your income, you may or may not have to pay a copay with us. The best way to find that out is to call our benefits number up in the Providence VA. I also want to point out that our care scores, and this is throughout the nation in the VA, despite some of the negative press you may hear about the VA, I do want to emphasize our care scores are as good or better when compared with the private sector in most categories. In fact, recently there's been a Dartmouth Institute of Health study that confirmed that the quality of care you get in the VA in many areas is as good, in some areas better than you get in the private sector. RAND recently did a study on our access to care, and they found that access to care in the VA is better than most private sector systems. And look, we are not the VA of 2014 when they had the access to care crisis. That's not what we are anymore. We've made monumental improvements since 2014. And look, you don't have to take my word for it. We even have a website for you to compare local hospitals, and that's www.accesstocareva.gov, and it'll compare your local VA hospital with the hospitals in the area where you live. So who's eligible? There are the specific criteria, but in general, if you were honorably discharged and served in a combat zone from Vietnam and after, have a VBA-rated service-connected medical condition, or if you're low income or homeless, you should be eligible for care at the Providence VA. And if you think any of these apply to you, you can apply online at www.va.gov, or if you're in our area, give our eligibility experts a call at 401-273-7100 is our main line, extension 12496. Again, that number is 401-273-7100, extension 12496. And listen, my pledge to all the veterans out there is if you want to come see us and you're having a tough time getting in, or if you want to say what great care you're getting, my phone's open to you guys. Please call at the hospital, and I'll talk to any veteran who wants to talk to me. With that, I will hand it back. Thank you.
So, Director, there are a couple questions. I've heard recently that the VA is really trying to encourage our Vietnam veterans to return to the VA healthcare system. Could you speak a little bit more about that?
Sure.
That initiative?
Yeah. So we would, so you heard of the Mission Act, and the Mission Act gave veterans more choice, and that's the right thing to do. And this was kind of a spin-off from the Choice Act due to the crisis in 2014, the Phoenix Access scandal. So the problem with the Choice Act, it was kind of haphazardly put together, wasn't well managed, which spun out the Mission Act, which gave veterans the choice to get their care paid for in the community, paid for by the VA if we couldn't meet the access to care standards, or if we didn't have that specialty in the area. What we want, not just Vietnam veterans, but all veterans. We want all veterans from World War II to OEF, OIF veterans to come into the direct care system to get their health care. You're still eligible to get it in the community if we can't meet your access to care standards. But we ask that you give us a chance because I'm pretty confident you'll be pleasantly surprised at the care you get in the VA. And I've been on both sides of the fence. I told you earlier I was a 30-year active duty officer. I retired as a colonel. The first half of my career I flew medevac helicopters, but the second half they kicked me out of the cockpit and made me run hospitals in the Army. So I know what good healthcare looks like in the military. When I came to the VA, I was really, really surprised at just how good the healthcare is in the VA. So give us a chance. Let us earn your business. Let us earn your trust. There's lots of reasons to come to the VA. If I'm not meeting your expectations, I need to know about it, and I'll do what I can to make you a repeat customer. How's that sound?
That sounds absolutely amazing. And when you say coming to the VA, is there transportation available to help our veterans who might have some mobility impairments to get to the care that they need?
There sure is. DAV helps us with transportation, and we have our own fleet of transporters in the hospital that will help those veterans that can't drive and need help getting to the hospital.
Wow, that's great. It sounds like you've got a wide scope. Are there special services available in Providence for our women veterans?
Oh, yeah. Let me talk about the Women's Health Program, and I'm pretty excited about that. Again, I came from the central office where our fastest growing population of veterans in the country are female veterans. More and more females are joining the military. So obviously that would make us make females the larger spike in our veteran population. So as a result of that, we've really had to focus on specialty care for our women veterans. We have at the Providence VA a women's clinic. It's on the campus, but it's separate from the main hospital. So female veterans who aren't comfortable walking through a lobby with other male veterans, they can go to their own separate building. We have women health doctors that'll take care of your needs. In fact, quite frankly, I get a lot of compliments on how much the women like the women's clinic here at the Providence VA. And I also ran the hospital in Washington, D.C., same thing. Female veterans love the women's health clinic concept that the VA is rolling out. So come give us a chance.
And that's great. And you were saying that if for some reason the services that an individual needs is not available at the Providence Medical Center, how would a veteran go about finding another physician? Does the VA system help navigate that, or how does that work?
So your primary care doc can walk you through all of that. So in other words, if we can't get you in within the required days, whether it's primary care or specialty care, they're different. That provider will give you the option to get your care in the economy, and we'll pay for it. That's all part of Mission Act. Now, you don't have to take it in the economy. You can stay with us. And what we're finding is nationally, it's kind of humorous, is a lot of veterans are going to kick the tires. What I mean by that is they'll try their care in the community. So they're like, yeah, if you can't get me in within the 21 days for primary care, I'm going to try my doctor downrange or in the economy. And they go there and the wait's even longer. So I'm coming back to the VA. So what we're finding is the private sector can't offer the same quality or access to care that we're providing our veterans now. I'll give you another perfect example. Washington, D.C. VA Medical Center. If any of you have been to dermatology in the private sector, it can take upwards of 3 to 6 months to get a dermatology appointment. At the Washington, D.C. VA Medical Center, you can get a dermatology appointment in 10 days. That's unheard of in the private sector. Unheard of.
Wow. And, right now we're dealing in the age of COVID. It certainly has disrupted the plans for this event. It was going to be live at the Ryan Center, and we're doing it virtually, which I think might work out because we'll reach a lot more people this way. What is the hospital doing to address the COVID situation for our veterans and to keep everyone healthy?
Yeah, so COVID's kind of upset the entire country, if not the world. What we're doing, and you've probably seen this if you're a veteran that's come to the Providence VA and our clinics, we screen all employees and we screen all veterans coming into the Providence VA, and we'll take everyone's temperature as they come in. So no one comes in without getting screened and their temperature taken. You'll see every employee in the VA wearing a mask to help prevent the spread of COVID. We've also stood up a COVID ward at the Providence VA with negative pressure room. What that means is if you're COVID positive as a veteran, we'll put you in a special room that has negative airflow that will prevent any possibility of COVID spreading down the hallways and such. So it's contained in that room, vented out through special filters, and we maintain the COVID patient in that room. And it's comfortable. It's air conditioned. I mean, it's a negative pressure room, so it's nothing scary. It's a negative pressure room.
Awesome. So we have a question that's come up from Denise Lowell. If you could bring that up on the screen, that would be great, Ben. One of the questions that she's interested in is the support for those with brain injuries and aphasia. Denise has a program called Just Ask Aphasia Stroke Knowledge. So it seems like that might be a good fit for programs that you might have as well. And I'm just curious what you have.
It is, in fact, we have a pretty healthy, robust research program at the Providence VA that's working on just that. What I'd ask Denise to do is, and I'll be happy to give you my contact info. Denise, if you reach out to me, I'd be happy to link you up with my researchers, and they can get you up to speed on what we're doing with brain injury research.
That would be awesome. Yeah, that would be really good. I'm seeing if there's any other questions that have come through at this point. I'm not seeing anything. So I thank you very much, Director. And I really appreciate it. I really encourage everyone to go see the Providence VA. There's a lot of amazing things going on. I know for a fact that you're doing amazing research. Used to be over in Building 32 many years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, it's great. And welcome to Rhode Island.
Thanks.
And I really appreciate you being here.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. It's nice to be home and give us a chance. And if we're not meeting your expectations, give me a call. I'm going
to hold you to that.
You got it.
All right. Thank you very much, Director. I really appreciate you participating today.
Thank you so much. My pleasure.
Great. So my next guest is Rhode Island Veterans of Foreign Wars Senior Vice Commander, Dora Vasquez-Hellner. Dora told me some amazing things that the VFWs are doing in Rhode Island, and I knew I had to have her on the show. So welcome, Dora. Oh, you're muted. Ben, can you unmute her?
There we go. Can you hear me now? Excellent.
I can hear you now.
Thank you. First, Deb, I want to thank you for inviting me this morning to participate in this wonderful program. Yes, it is unfortunate that we were not able to physically gather at the Ryan Center, but we are making it happen, and that is the world of moving forward. So on behalf of the Department of Rhode Island VFW, I just wanted to share a few things with you. First of all, what is our mission? And that is to foster camaraderie among all U.S. veterans of overseas conflicts. And our vision is to ensure that veterans are respected for their service, always receive their earned entitlements, and are recognized for the sacrifices that they and their loved ones have made on behalf of this great country. Now, who are we? The Veterans of Foreign Wars of the United States is a nonprofit veterans service organization comprised of eligible veterans and military service members from the active, guard, and reserve forces. We can trace our roots back to 1899, when veterans of the Spanish-American War and the Philippine insurrection founded local organizations to secure rights and benefits for their service. Many arrived home wounded or sick and there was no medical care or veterans pension for them, and they were left to care for themselves. And so moving forward, they banded together and formed organizations that would eventually become known as the Veterans of Foreign Wars of the United States. And at that point, chapters started popping up throughout the United States. And today, our membership stands at more than 1.6 million members of the VFW with its auxiliary, with more than 6,129 VFW posts worldwide. When we look at the structure of the VFW, we can start with the post, which would be the equivalent of our towns. Then we move to districts, which is our counties, and department, which is the state level, and then our national level. And our voice has been instrumental in establishing the Veterans Administration, development of the National Cemetery System, the fight for compensation for Vietnam vets exposed to Agent Orange, and for veterans diagnosed with Gulf War syndrome. In 2008, we won a long-fought victory with the passing of a GI Bill for the 21st century. And this gave expanded educational benefits to America's active duty service members and members of the Guard and reserves fighting in Iraq and Afghanistan. We have also been the driving force behind the Veterans Access and Accountability Act of 2014, which requires hospital care and medical services to be furnished to veterans through agreements with specified non-Department of VA facilities if the veterans and continually fight for improved VA medical services for women veterans. We have helped fund numerous memorials throughout our capital. And in 2005, the VFW became the first veterans organization to contribute to building the new Disabled Veterans for Life Memorial, which opened in November of 2010. And in 2015, we became the first supporter of the National Desert Storm War Memorial, which is planned for construction at our nation's capital. We have many programs and services that work to support veterans, service members, and their families, as well as communities worldwide. No one does more for veterans than the VFW. Our core values always put the interests of our members first. Treat donors as partners in our cause, promote patriotism, honor military service, ensure the care of veterans and their families, and serve our communities, promote a positive image of the VFW, and respect the diversity of veteran opinions. Now, how do we practice all these items here in Rhode Island? As we look at the VFW in Rhode Island, we have been helping veterans and their families since 1919. We have 23 posts throughout the state, and we represent, over 3,500 veterans. Excuse me. A little known fact with VFW history in Rhode Island is that the first VFW National Legislative Convention was held here in our state. And if you ever have, excuse me, let me get a sip of water here. Okay. If you ever have the chance to go to our department headquarters, which is in Providence, across the street from the department, state capitol building, excuse me, we have a photo there from this event that shows several World War I veterans and the Ladies Auxiliary that was taken on the steps of the Providence City Hall. And also, when we look at the legislative side of the House, very few people know that 1 May has been designated as VFW Loyalty Day. And this came about originally as Americanization Day in 1921, and it was to counter the communist May 1st celebration of the Russian Revolution. So what do we do on May 1st? We promote patriotism through this resolution that was adopted in 1949. Now, fast forward to the present. How did the Department of Rhode Island react to the current pandemic? Well, throughout our state, many of our posts rallied the troops to serve our community. And how did we do that? In Portsmouth, they constructed over 3,200 masks, and they were distributed to such facilities as the Providence VA Medical Center, the Bristol Home, the Portsmouth Emergency Management Service, several nursing homes, the Veterans Association of Bristol County, and other hospitals. So also a small portion of these masks are still being supplied in the event of a second wave. Here in Westerly, where I'm located, our Westerly post provided meals, numerous meals to our National Guard that were providing services here in the Westerly area. And they also served a couple of dinners to the Westerly Police Department. Now in Wakefield, what they did is they were shoppers for individuals who could not safely leave their home. And this was done at the Belmont Market. And to date, the hours that have been put in by the Wakefield Post total over 600 hours. And this was done in coordination with the Lions Club and also with the Rotary Club and the Elks Club there at Belmont. As we move to the area of North Kingstown provided many meals to the Rhode Island National Guard soldiers and airmen. They also provided both breakfast and lunch. They provided face masks to the NK police and also to the Rhode Island State Police. And also what we did throughout the state, numerous posts throughout the state, contracted several veteran-owned food trucks who in turn served free meals to our Rhode Island National Guard soldiers and airmen that were located at the numerous test sites throughout our area.
Dora, I want to pop in here for a quick second because there's a couple questions that have come in that I want to make sure that we have time to touch on. Does the VFW help people? Ann Simpson was asking, do you help with the application for survivor benefits?
For survivor benefits, what we can do is we have veteran service officers, and they have all the required information for survivor benefits. And on the screen, the number that everyone is receiving is to our department. And then the department secretary and adjutant will be able to put the individuals in contact with the respective points of contact for those different items.
Great. And Sal Sacco had another question. Who is eligible to join the VFW? Is it for all veterans, all of the age groups?
Okay, that is a really great question. And you know, I will tell you before I go into that answer is that veterans always ask, well, why should I join a veterans organization? Well, I will tell you that it's strength in numbers, be it at the state level or at the national level. When VFW at the national level steps forward and says, we are supporting this bill because of 1.6 million veterans and family members, that has a huge impact. And then the same here in Rhode Island, the VFW represents 3,500 veterans. So again, when we go forward to present different issues, that's where the strength in numbers come in. Now, as far as eligibility is based on, number one, you must be a U.S. citizen or U.S. national. Number two, honorable service. You must have served in the armed forces of the United States and either received a discharge of honorable or general under honorable conditions or be currently serving. And then lastly, service in a war campaign or expedition on foreign soil or in hostile waters. And again, if you are discharged, then this would be proven by your DD-214, your official document that states your discharge status and all your military history on that. But if you are still serving, that can be easily verified with your orders, the official documentation that moves you from point A to point B. So that is the eligibility.
Wow. So the VFW, is it part of the VA system? Is it a nonprofit? How do you financially get these monuments going and things like that?
Ooh, really good question, Deb. Number one, we are a nonprofit. And so we rely solely from donations. And every year you will see one of our big fundraisers are the Buddy Poppy. And traditionally the Buddy Poppy, we seek donations on Memorial Day and then again on Veterans Day. Unfortunately, again, because of this year's situation, we were not able to hold our Buddy Poppy drive. But I'm hoping that by the time Veterans Day comes around, we will be able to conduct our drive. But again, all of this is fed from donations throughout the year.
So if people wanted to support your organization, say, for instance, you were saying that there's monuments and some recognition for our veterans, they can mail in a check if they wanted to, right?
Oh my gosh, yes, they could, and that would be greatly appreciated, because I will tell you that the money also goes directly back to the community, in that if there is a veteran in need, for example, they need food on the table, or they need assistance with oil over the long winter, we will help them out. The family member, we will help them out. So again, the monies go directly back to the community.
That's awesome. And Director Yarn has joined us, and I know that he is on a very tight time schedule, so this is great. There's another question that did pop up in our chat box, and I'll follow up with you on that afterwards so that I can respond to our speaker. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you having time today.
I greatly appreciate the opportunity. Thank you so much.
So without my next guest support, Calling All Veterans Day simply would not have been possible. Welcome the Director of the Rhode Island Office of Veterans Services, Director Kasim Yarn.
Hey, Deb, how are you today?
Good. Good to see you.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for putting we've been coordinating this for like a year and a half now.
It feels like it, yeah.
So, it's finally come to fruition. A little virus didn't stop us, and it provided us other opportunities to partner together, to strengthen those bonds, and most importantly, support our veterans and military families.
Yes. And so, Director, what things are your office responsible for? What would someone go to your office for information for? What can you help people with?
Well, simply put, any and everything. Our office is here for veterans and military families. When you first walk into our office, you see a sign that says "Welcome Home," and that means so much. So at any place in Rhode Island, if you have a veteran and military family that has a concern or question, look no further. My office is here to support you in all your endeavors.
Are there specific areas that your office is responsible for?
So all things veteran affairs related. We partner directly with our federal VA partners, which you had went on earlier. And again, they've been tremendous partners. We can't ask for better partners in this state, collaborating together in terms of our Providence VA Medical Center and our Benefits Regional Office. Those leadership from both of those organizations are phenomenal, great partners to work with. We've had recently change in leadership at the Providence VA Medical Center, which is phenomenal leader. E.J. McQuaid from our benefits office, who just got sworn in, a bigger responsibility for the VA at large. But here in Rhode Island, taking care of our veterans and military families are our #1 priority.
That's awesome. So as we're aging, we really need to plan ahead on what we're going to need. Does your office help people, say, with the Bristol Veterans Home, or is that just through your doctor? How does that work?
So it is through it's through my office as an entry point. So no wrong door approach. For our veterans home, you can work directly with them. We've also worked with families as well to help guide them through the process in terms of what their requirements are. And then we do a warm handoff to our leadership at our veterans home to help guide them through that process. Because COVID-19 are in the mix of that response efforts, we have ceased admissions. Again, our policy aligns with the Rhode Island Department of Health across all of Rhode Island.
Yeah, this virus has been a bugger for everybody everywhere, and I really appreciate you taking care of the veterans over at the home. So if someone were to pass, what is the eligibility criteria for them to be buried at the Veterans Cemetery down in Exeter?
So right now, the current requirement is that you have to be a Rhode Island resident for 2 years. You have to serve on an minimum active duty time 90 days. War in that regard to as well. And so our website, vets.ri.gov, click the tab and they give you all the requirements too. And also we ask in terms of planning, end of life planning, we ask that to pre-register, pre-qualify. That makes life easier. As you know, it's difficult during bereavement period to try to focus on every little nitnoid detail. And it's so hard for families. So we ask if you can, try to pre-arrange what your wishes are. That's going to make your life easier for your family, surviving family members. Also, too, help us assist your family with navigating those waters during that bereavement period.
Yeah, I found in speaking with many veterans, some of the things that civilians don't often think about, like your healthcare powers of attorney and financial powers of attorney. Many times the veterans have already had that conversation because they're in situations where those things might become extremely important extremely quickly. So I think that's really good. So if they wanted to do pre-arrangements, would they go through your office, or would the funeral directors help them with that, the pre-arrangement things, that kind of, how's that done?
So a couple options. One, you can go directly to our administrative leadership, Jim Bessel, retired Air Force Colonel. The phone number is 401-268-3088. Call him, talk to him directly. Or you can have your funeral director. So obviously beforehand, it would be the family member communicating with our leadership there at the cemetery. If it's, once the family member has passed, unfortunately, then we recommend that the funeral directors work directly with our leadership. And kudos to the Rhode Island Funeral Directors Association. They've been tremendous partners through this entire ordeal, and working together has been tremendous.
Now, I think your office is also responsible for assisting veterans in other ways, for housing, shelter, food, job development. Tell me about those programs.
So all of the above. Thank you so much for bringing it up. So we're tracking 13 categories, anywhere from employment piece to, of course, housing, what have you, the veterans home, the cemetery, all the mortuary affairs, all those umbrella underneath our purview. And so what we do, we have now what we call Rhode Island Serves, riserves.org. And so this is a way we can connect veterans and military families with services. We have over 55 partners that are in our network. Now we're in the process of expanding across all of Rhode Island. So that way, again, back to the no wrong door approach via the Office of Healthy Aging, dealing with your team or another agency to work together to connect those veterans and military families to the services that they have. And because we launched that almost 3 years ago now, and to our credit, because we've had that in place, it has made the responding during the COVID-19 virus seem seamless, because we're still connecting our veterans military families with those service providers. There's more distance now, but again, we're still making those referrals in a timely manner to connect folks with services.
Great. So Denise Lowell had a question. How can we as members of the community help the individuals who are in the Bristol Veterans Home? Do you take donations? Do you need masks? Are there any needs out there, even for the individuals that you're helping through RI Serves? I know many of our Rhode Islanders are so extremely generous. We're a great community, we're a great state, and we do support our veterans. What can we do to help?
So there's several ways. One, if you go visit our website, vets.ri.gov, in the top right portion of the website, it lists volunteer and job opportunities. So you click on it. We have 7 ways that a concerned citizen wants to help out with veterans, military families to utilize those volunteer efforts. Again, we have over 7 in that regard. Regarding providing essentials to our resident at the Veterans Home, we have ceased that practice right now because of COVID-19. But the list that we need there normally is posted also on that section as well, on the volunteer opportunities also. But we ask that you hold off right now. Once we get a better handle on this virus, then we can start resuming donations at the Veterans Home in that capacity too.
Yeah, and I've spoken with you about this before. I don't come from a military family, but for me, I feel as though when a man or woman signs on the dotted line to possibly give their life for me to have freedom and ease of life, it's my responsibility, it's all of our responsibilities to make sure that our veterans and our military members get what they need to be able to live with ease and
Absolutely.
freedom in their life.
Absolutely. And this is why partnerships network is so important in our collaborative network, working with together, because we have so many great organizations out there doing so phenomenal work for our veterans, our military families. Let's work together to connect them with those services. And especially in a COVID-19 world, because we all have hardships and family members that have struggled through this process, especially when we're talking about the mental health aspect of these things. And so these type of venues in terms of Zoom calls, Facebook, what have you, all of these StreamYard, all of these tools that we have at our disposal to do a better job at connecting with others to address the mental health aspect of this as we continue to combat COVID-19.
Yeah, this virus has just taken a toll physically, emotionally, everything. I know that you have to go. I know your time with me was very limited. Just going to check to see if there's any quick questions that are coming in. Let's see. So do you help spouses of veterans if they're coming in and speak to you?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
And veterans and military families, anytime you hear me say veteran, I say and military families. You know, General Callahan talks about how being a military service member, you take that oath, you volunteer. Well, family members are kind of what voluntold if you're in that regard too as well. So our services, as a matter of fact, regarding our aging population, majority of our respondents clients are the family members reaching out to us. Hey, mom and dad, you know, they're transitioning. How can we assist? What can we do? Blah, blah, blah. And that's where we are to support them as well.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I know that you have to run, unless I can keep you for a couple more minutes.
Absolutely. We're going a little bit. This is great. This is good stuff. No, but you and I have been talking about this today for literally almost 2 years.
It feels like,
come to fruition. This is great.
Yes.
Look at all the response you got to. So this is worth the work. So thank you so much for partnering.
And I fully recognize this wouldn't have been possible without the support of you and your office. This has been a lot of planning and a lot of last minute changes and switching to virtual events. And you know what? I'm glad it kind of went this way, because now we have the ability to reach people across the country and not necessarily just people who are able to go to the Ryan Center on that day at that time. You know, this is all being recorded so people can play it, share it later.
Exactly. So now we've upped the ante. So now we got to plan a bigger event along these lines.
I'm in.
Next go around. So look forward to the opportunity.
Oh, you know we're going big.
That's it. Take care. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you very much for joining us. That was awesome. And again, Calling All Veterans Day wouldn't be possible without the support of the Lieutenant Governor, Director Yarn, Raytheon, Cross Country Mortgage, and England Studios. It just simply wouldn't have been able to happen without their support. For many of us, one of the identified barriers for care a lot of times, has to do with our fur kids, our dogs, our cats, etc. I spend most days looking for information and resources. And when I found this next organization, I was so incredibly happy. So for many of us, our fur kids are part of our family. And this next resource is something that I think more people really need to know about and take advantage of. The next guest I'd like to welcome up is Amanda Beck of Dogs on Deployment. Welcome, Amanda.
Hi, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
So I will go by two names today. I've gotten married since Beck was a thing. So you probably also find me as Amanda Catalano out there in the world.
Oh, thank you.
But I've been volunteering with Dogs on Deployment for, I believe it's the last about 6 years now. I had come across them on a Facebook ad. And I married basically the two most important things in my life, which was military service and animals. I am a dog mom, and like I said, I love my, I think I love her more than my husband some days, just don't know. I am a military spouse. My husband has been with the Massachusetts National Guard for the last 13 years, I believe now. And he's served on 2 tours. So, like I said, the military life is, I'm no stranger to. I come from a long line of veterans. A lot of my family members have served. So I know what kind of strain the military life can, put on people. And I never thought about the pets. And oftentimes that's what happens. So I came across this Facebook ad looking for volunteers in our area. And before I knew it, I became the Rhode Island State Coordinator, as the previous coordinator was PCSing out to Hawaii. So it was very difficult to do some local events here from Hawaii. So I kind of stepped in and took over. So for those of you who don't know what Dogs on Deployment is, we are a 501c3. We are a national nonprofit. So we have coordinators all across the country. Our mission is to promote lifelong, healthy pet ownership for military families. As most of you know, the military can throw you some curveballs, PCSing and moving, deployments. But for, the topic today is medical treatment. So especially with our aging veterans, there's going to be a lot more medical treatments coming for them. So they're going to have to spend time in, VA health facilities and things like that. Oftentimes, they're living alone, or they're, living in assisted living, and it's just them. So they don't have anyone to care for their pets. So that's where Dogs on Deployment comes in. So our primary demographic, if you will, is usually active duty. We are an organization that provides a network of volunteer fosters and boarders to watch our service members, fur babies, scaly babies. We do them all. I think we've done llamas before. So whatever pet you have, we'll love them just like our own. But we connect you with that network of volunteer fosters for when you have service obligations, or again, in this case, when you have medical treatments that you have to go in for. So something that might keep you for a week, inpatient. We have volunteer fosters in the area that can take your pets while you are away and make sure you're getting better. It is free. These are volunteers. You are financially responsible for any, vet bills or food or any basic care for your pets, while they're in someone else's home. But the fosters and boarders are free, and they volunteer their time and effort to help our service members. So as far as eligibility goes, again, our primary demographic has been active duty and those going on deployment orders. But we do assist veterans as well, as long as you are honorably discharged and served at least 2 years of active duty. We are happy to add you to our program. If you ever need to sign up, you go right onto our website, dogsondeployment.org, and you'll fill out a profile there, all the specifics on the time frame, where you're located, any special needs for your pets, basically, their weight, how big they are. A lot of people have restrictions if they live in like apartments. They could take, certain breeds, things like that. So you basically fill out a full profile. You'll be vetted to make sure that you are eligible for the program. So for any medical treatment, You just need identification, a DD-214, and a letter from either your VA healthcare provider or whatever healthcare provider is having you go in for the service, just stating that there is a need and that you will be unable to take care of your pets. You upload that right into our system. Once your profile is approved, you are allowed to access our border network. You go through the profiles, you reach out to someone who you think may be a good fit, and then you guys kind of take it from there. Again, veterans are responsible financially, but the volunteers do provide all of their time and love and a really nice, happy home, so you don't have to worry about your pets. Boarding facilities can get very expensive. A lot of them, they're housing multiple pets, so, they're in kennels and they don't get to, sleep in someone's bed at night. So, having people welcome your pets into their home, kind of gives them, that still warm, snuggly feeling that they have when you're there. We also do provide financial grants. Again, veterans are eligible. Typically, they're prioritized for service members, active service members. But we do, on a number of occasions, help veterans as well. Again, same requirements, honorably discharged with 2 years of active service. Those financial grants can be used for things like emergency vet care. If you're a pet owner, dogs do absolutely crazy things. At least mine does. She likes to jump off the top step of my porch and totally send me for a loop. And emergencies, it happens. And you also know it's super, super expensive, especially with the COVID-19 going on. Funds are super limited. So we're happy to help where we can and provide that emergency assistance. We do pay out directly to the veterinary facility. So, we ask for all that information up front. And if you're approved for the grant, we'll take care of it directly with your veterinary provider. So that's kind of a little bit about what we do. Like I said, I'm happy to answer any questions if you have them. But like I said, all the information is on our website, dogsondeployment.org. We are a resource by veterans for veterans. And like I said, we just want to make sure everybody's fur babies are taken care of. And, the priority is making sure that our veterans get the care they need and that they have the time to recover and not have to worry about, another layer of complication.
So is Dogs on Deployment, is it a nationwide or is it only here in Rhode Island?
So it is nationwide. We have coordinators all across the country. It is 100% volunteer. No one in our organization gets paid, right up to our founders and CEO. They were, a dual military couple who obviously saw the need being dual military when they had to deploy at the same time. And, they had a boatload of pets. They had birds and dogs and, a little bit of everything. So they realized that this was a missing resource out there. So like I said, we have coordinators all across the country. We were always looking for volunteers, whether it's just volunteering at local events. We are looking for state coordinators as well. So you can also reach out through our website if you are interested in volunteering. Same thing with fostering, if you're interested in fostering. Again, we're not a super big active duty state here. So the fostering need we see here in particular more on the side of the VA and the medical healthcare. Mm-hmm. So they tend to be very short-term needs. But like I said, we do see that here. So like I said, if you happen to be across the country right now, there's more than likely a local coordinator in your area. If not, you're interested, you can always reach out. We're happy to add to our team.
Yeah, that is awesome. A couple of people are asking, how do they sign up to be a foster? So is it where should they go for that? Is that on your website?
Yep, dogsondeployment.org. You're going to go to the application, and then from there, you're going to choose whether you're looking to board your pet or you're looking to be a boarder. For our people that are interested in boarding, you also fill out a pretty lengthy profile yourself on, what types of pets you can take. Can you take special needs? Can you take the extra large Great Danes, or, are you limited to Chihuahuas in your apartment? A little bit about yourself. Like I said, our service members kind of want to know the family they're going to. So like I said, you fill out all that information. It is up to our veterans, once approved, to go in and check out the profiles to see who might be the right fit for them and then to reach out to you. But you can actually reach out to people as well from the border side of things. But usually that responsibility, we ask our veterans to kind of to take charge on. But yeah, you can absolutely go right on and sign up. Even if you're just looking to volunteer at some events. I know COVID-19 kind of blew up my plans for 2020 here. But like I said, we do attend a lot of like yellow ribbon events,
Okay.
some VA events, local community events, a lot of pet events. I'm not far from Pawtucket, so the Pawtucket Dog Park fundraiser I'm usually at every year. But like I said, if anybody's interested in, like I said, coming to hang out at those events with me to talk to people about dogs in deployment, like I said, we're interested in volunteers of all kinds.
That's awesome. Now, I know sometimes when someone is deployed, their deployment gets extended unexpectedly. Somebody goes into the hospital for what they think might be something minor, and it turns out taking a lot longer. How is that handled with the fosters?
Yeah, so one of the great things about our organization is a lot of the volunteers are military. And like I said, any military family knows that life changes in an instant. So when it comes down to that, which it happens all the time, our boarders are usually very, very flexible on that. There's been very few cases where they haven't been able to handle the extension. So in that case, Dogs on Deployment will help facilitate finding a new boarder. It is up to the service member to choose somebody, but we'll help facilitate that as best as we can. We know, being especially overseas, it can be tough to communicate. Like I said, it depends on the day over there, where you are. So we'll help facilitate that. Otherwise, the veterans are given borders alike, there is a contract that you guys fill out with each other. And on there is basically emergency info for someone in an emergency that will be able to kind of back up. So if the boarder has to stop, boarding at that moment, and, we haven't found a new boarder yet, there is somebody that we ask be kind of that emergency fallback that can take the pet for however long. So whether that may be a parent or, a sibling or a best friend that might not be able to do, a long time frame, which is why they don't have them. But it's just that brief backup. So again, we help facilitate. We don't choose. We don't, do any of that, but we will help facilitate.
That's good. And I'm assuming, like most things, the animals need to be up to date on their shots and all those health records.
Yep. So they obviously have to be up to date on everything. They also do have to be spayed or neutered unless they're under a year old, in which case we just need a note from your vet saying there's either a medical condition or, they're too young to be spayed or neutered. But like I said, we, our boarders, as much as we're here for our veterans, we're also here for our boarders. So, we've gotten a lot of feedback over the years about the importance of the spaying and neutering. And again, obviously, we're very pro spay and neuter, for a multitude of reasons. So, we want to see those happy, healthy pets. So, like I said, we do ask that they be up to date on everything, spay and neutered. And then again, any medical reasons, we know sometimes things, can't happen. As long as you have a vet's note to kind of back that up, we're happy to help.
That's awesome. Is it just dogs and cats, or?
No. So we've done a little bit of everything. Like I said, I believe we had a llama out in the Midwest. It might have been a rumor. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure. Family's family to us. Like I said, if we have fosters in the area that are capable, we're more than happy to accommodate. Obviously, cats and dogs are most common, but like I said, we've seen small animals like hamsters. I think we've seen snakes, lizards, like a bunch of things like that. Again, scaly babies too. we don't discriminate here. Like I said, everybody's got someone different in their life that they love. We actually have a boarder in associated with the Pawtucket Dog Park that her and her daughter have stables and can take care of horses. So in our local area here, we do have somebody that can actually foster and board a horse if needed. So like I said, we got, it depends on our boarders in the area, but we'll gladly board anything.
That is absolutely amazing. I've heard firsthand how much taking care of our pets before ourselves has sometimes been a barrier to care. So when your resource was shared with me, I was really excited because it's just so important, because pets are really, they become part of our family. They help reduce social isolation. They help reduce loneliness. They're there with us. So a lot of times they're the reason that, we're getting out of bed. we might not want to get up at 5 a.m. to let someone out, but it's good. It's getting us out of bed.
Absolutely.
So I really appreciate the work that you're doing. I think it's absolutely amazing. And you said you're a nonprofit and you weren't able to do your fundraiser. So if people wanted to support your efforts, Dogs on Deployment efforts, what should they do? How can they help?
Yeah, so like I said, everything is right on our website, dogsondeployment.org. There are, like I said, areas to sign up to volunteer, sign up for the need for boarding, and you could also make donations there. I know, like I said, across the country, we kind of got slammed like everyone else with a lot of our fundraising events. Again, we are strictly a volunteer organization. So all the donations that come in go right into our veterans programs. Like I said, none of us get paid to do what we do, again, including our CEO and our founders. We put all of the dollars that come in right into our programs that go right back to, our veterans and our service members. So again, I believe we are up to $750,000 in grants over the last several years that have been given out. So like I said, we're, very appreciative. Again, I know everybody's a little strapped right now, but if anybody does have, anything to spare for us, we're again, always happy to get that into our programs and help our service members.
That's absolutely amazing. And as much as $750,000 sounds like a lot of money, as RA Elder Info is a nonprofit, money goes much faster in ways that you never even thought of. So, to make sure that there's marketing and outreach to let people know. So I think one of the really important things is to share you guys as a resource so that more people are aware to be able to reach out. But, if anybody wants to do fundraisers for you, I'm sure that is not going to be turned away either.
No, absolutely. As I said, we're happy, like I said, feel free to reach out to us. My personal email, if you're looking to get in touch with me, is ri-events@dogsondeployment.org. So like I said, if there's something local, usually I'll get my headquarters staff involved as well, just because they oversee and kind of regulate to make sure, everything is kind of buttoned up, because there are obviously legal aspects to everything. So like I said, we're happy to coordinate events, even if, like I said, we can just be a resource at your event. Like I said, if it's not necessarily a fundraiser, like speaking here today, again, just kind of getting our information out there. Just we want to help, and like I said, word of mouth and just kind of spreading that is so helpful to us. You can also check out our Facebook. We also post our pets in need on there. So like I said, sometimes we get those last minute, again, change of orders and, we need a dog boarded or a cat boarded right away. We do social media posts to try and get that out there. So again, even just sharing those for us is super helpful. It helps us, it helps our service members. The more people that know about us, the more service members and veterans we can help. So it is very much appreciated.
Awesome. And what's your Facebook page?
It's just Dogs on Deployment.
Nice.
Nice
Simple.
and easy.
Yes. Oh, this has been great. Thank you so much for joining us today, Amanda. This is
Absolutely.
I love what you do. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And I hope everybody stays safe. And like I said, if we can ever assist, please reach out.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
So our speakers today are happy to answer questions anything that you might have. If they can't answer them right now, I'll be sure to follow up and make sure that there are comments after the show. So that way you have it right in the same thread. You don't have to go searching for it. So we want to make sure and encourage people to ask questions, particularly of our next couple of guests, because the information they're providing is going to be really helpful in a cost way. So too often I have witnessed veterans, their spouses or family members really struggle to find the resources that's going to enable them to be able to age independently, and how to cover the costs associated with being able to age independently. And I've seen in the thread here today that a number of people are starting to ask those questions about resources for the veterans and for their spouses. My next guest is a federally recognized expert in veterans benefits. Here to speak on the aid and attendance benefit is my friend Rachel Garcia. Welcome, Rachel.
help if I mute my mic, I suppose. Hi, thanks for the introduction. Yeah, so I'll start off here. I have a lot to say, so I'm going to try to get through this. And just like Deb said, if there are any questions that go that need to be answered later on, I'm happy to answer those. This is only one of the benefits that are offered through the Department of Veteran Affairs. It's not the only benefit. So we're talking about aid and attendance through the Department of Veteran Affairs. So again, my name is Rachel Garcia, and I am currently the Assistant Director of Veteran Affairs and Military Programs at the University of Rhode Island. And I've also been working with the veterans of foreign wars for the past 6 years as an accredited officer. So due to the complexity and subjection of each individual person, I will be speaking about aid and attendance in very general terms. So this isn't, there's different types and forks that kind of go off in the criteria and eligibility of this benefit. So again, I'm going to be speaking in very basic general terms here, just so you have an idea that this benefit exists if you didn't know that already. So what is VA aid and attendance? The aid and attendance benefit available through the Department of Veteran Affairs is a benefit for folks who require the aid and attendance of another individual to perform the personal functions required in everyday living. So aid and attendance provides an additional fund to eligible applicants who need care in assisted living residences, skilled nursing facilities, or those receiving in-home care. And you can't receive aid and attendance and housebound at the same time. So you have to pick and choose which one you'd like, to qualify or get that benefit for. And I can always answer those questions about housebound later as a separate benefit to the aid and attendance. So who's eligible for this? So veterans, spouses of veterans, surviving spouses of veterans, some parents of deceased veterans, and dependent children. And so if the applicant is a surviving spouse, for instance, of a veteran, the deceased veteran must meet the requirements, and the spouse must also meet the requirements on their own. The benefit is designed for veterans in mind. Spouses and dependent children can be offered this benefit due to support either the family need or the veteran themselves. So that's what it's designed to be. Applicants, you must apply and be eligible for VA pension, which I'll get into a little bit, VA compensation, which I'll get into a little bit, VA dependency and indemnity compensation, also known as DIC. If you don't know what DIC is, that's a good question to ask someone like myself or another veteran service officer in your area. If you're outside of Rhode Island, you can usually find veteran service officers at your VA regional office or sometimes in your counties. Your counties will sometimes have veteran service officers that are offered as a resource to you. So it's a good idea to maybe check in with some of those local organizations. VFW is not the only organization that does these types of benefit claims. AMVETS, DAV, American Legion, Vietnam Veterans of America. There's a lot of really great organizations out there that can help facilitate and process claims. I don't make the decisions, the VA makes those decisions. I just help with the paperwork and all of the complexity and the laws and the policies and explaining those to either the veteran or veterans' families. So just to be clear, I don't make those decisions, but I'm happy, and all VSOs are happy to help support you during that process. So continuing, so again, the eligibility, right? You're eligible as a veteran, a spouse of a veteran, a surviving spouse of a veteran, some parents, which is extremely rare for me to file, and then dependent children as well. So, and you must also, so a veteran also must have served at least 90 days of active military service. That doesn't include training time. So if you're looking at training time in the form of basic training, tech school, or other things, that wouldn't constitute as active duty time. So you have to at least have 90 days of active military service to qualify. And at least one of those days has to be during a period of war. The veteran must have been discharged under a favorable condition category. So a dishonorable discharge disqualifies any applicant. But just so everybody understands too, another thing that I get questioned often is how to upgrade a discharge status. It is possible to upgrade your discharge status. There are certain criteria that you have to meet in order to upgrade, and a VSO, a veteran service officer, can help assist you in that process of upgrading your discharge. Upgrading discharges don't go to the VA, they go to the military board. So whatever branch of service you're in, the Navy, Air Force, Army, etc., they're going to go to that military board, and that military board is going to review your application in its entirety and then make that determination. But again, a VSO can help you through that process because it is quite complex and it can be difficult to navigate in some instances. So it'd be a good idea to get the help of a veteran service officer. Another thing that I wanted to mention about veteran service officers is that it's primarily a voluntary position. So oftentimes we don't get paid for these positions. We're often veterans ourselves. So, and we see a lot of people. So it can be challenging sometimes to make these appointments with some folks around the nation. If you're not in Rhode Island, just keep trying. And if you need help in locating somebody, you can always reach out to me. I'll give Deb my email contact just so people can reach out and say, hey, is there a VSO in my area? Can you give me a name or a number? Happy to do that. So again, you need to be eligible by serving 1 day during a period of war. So how do you know if the veteran has served during that 1 day period of war? So the VA, the Department of Veteran Affairs, has identified and recognized the following wartime periods. I'm not going to go through the dates because it would take me too long, but I'm happy to give this information to Deb so she can post it if anybody's interested. But we have the Mexican border period. That's 1916 to 1917. Unlikely that I see these veterans come in and seek services, but and then we have World War I, World War II, the Korean conflict, Vietnam era. So there's 2 types of Vietnam eras here. We have one that is boots on ground, which started in 1961 and went all the way to 1975. And then we have during the Vietnam War. So somebody that was served outside of the Republic of Vietnam. We had some folks that were in Guam, and et cetera, serving in response to Vietnam, but didn't make it to Vietnam. So those types of periods of war count. There's different dates for boots on ground in Vietnam and then during the period of Vietnam. And then we have Gulf War. So that's 1990 and on. We're still at war. OIF, Operation Iraqi Freedom, ended a little while ago, but we still have people in country, and we still have Afghanistan and other things that are going on. So presently, we still have wartime veterans that would be eligible for this benefit. And also service in combat is not a requirement. So you don't, like I said with Vietnam, you don't necessarily have to be boots in country. You just had to have served at least 1 day during a wartime period that is recognized by the VA. So we have two kinds of ways to get this aid and attendance benefit here. We have the pension requirements, which is the basic pension requirements, and to be eligible for that as a veteran, you have to be 65 or older with no or limited income, have a permanent and total disability, receive supplemental security income, receive Social Security disability insurance, reside in a nursing facility or other care. And so that's kind of some of the basic requirements for pension. There are other requirements that you can meet in eligibility for this pension. So again, just checking in with a veteran service officer is the best thing that you could do, because it's, like I said early on, it's so complex and so subjective on different families and other things and how the VA kind of navigates this. So, and then we have the compensation portion. Compensation is a benefit that goes directly to the veteran. This is if you have compensation, you do, right? Because you're receiving this monthly benefit every month, because of a service-connected disability. So it's a disability that's a monthly compensation offered tax-free to veterans who were sick or injured while serving in the military, and to veterans whose service made an existing condition worse. You may qualify for VA disability benefits for physical conditions like a chronic illness or injury, and mental health conditions that developed before, during, and sometimes even after service. But remember that compensation for military service connected disabilities, you have to have some form of link that it happened while you were in the service. And a VSO can kind of help you navigate what that looks like. So you do have to be, receiving compensation or a pension benefit in order to be eligible. And those two are basic requirements for veterans. Dependents, so spouses and children, have different criteria to meet. And those criteria are typical of what the veteran's criteria is. So the veteran has to qualify under that wartime period and active duty time, okay? And if you are the spouse of the veteran, typically you can't be remarried, even if you are a surviving spouse. And but there are some variants in that. So that would be a good question to bring up if you think you might be eligible for ANA and you remarried. That might be something you want to bring up to your VSO so that they can look into it further. But typically, you have to have not been remarried. And then there's two sorts of requirements here for ANA. So we have the financial requirement and we have the clinical requirement. So the clinical requirement is if you need aid in attendance, you have to have some form of clinical criteria to meet the benefit. So that is being bedridden, except for medical and therapy appointments and treatments. Oftentimes I get asked, but I have to go to my doctor's appointment. And if you're in bed most of the time, or your house, if you're in your house most of the time and you can't leave due to your condition, you're bedridden. You have the ability to go to your doctor's appointments and go to the pharmacy and other things to get your needs met. If you require the assistance of another person, you have severe visual impairment. That's another reason. You reside in a nursing facility or a memory care facility, and you require the help with some activities of daily living. So, bathing, dressing, eating, using a bathroom, etc. Those types of things will qualify you on the clinical requirement for aid in attendance. So the financial requirement for aid in attendance is much different than it was a few years ago. So in December of 2018, the VA set a clear upper limit for applicants' net worth. That means that you can't have assets that exceed $123,600. That doesn't include your house. That doesn't include your automobile. That does, however, include anything you have in savings, anything you have in CDs, anything you have in stocks, stuff like that. You can't exceed that $123,600 mark. There are some exceptions to that. If you are, if you need it in attendance and you have $123,000 plus in your account and you're young, right, and that money is most likely not going to last your longevity in life, then there might be some things you can do for that. But typically speaking, the VA is going to look really hard at that number. And again, your house and your automobile doesn't count. The VA also looks at, when they look at that overall amount, they're looking 3 years back. So they're looking at seeing whether or not you've gifted money, right? Or you've sold things under value. So they're looking at all of these 3 years back. And that was something that came into play in 2018. So if you have any questions about that, please talk to a VSO, because they're going to tell you everything that you need to know about that.
Rachel, we did have one question. I actually had a couple questions come in. I wanted to make sure we got to. Meg Worth is asking, and you kind of touched on this a little bit, are the income guidelines for the aid in attendance, are they the same if it's the veteran applying or
family
if it's
income.
the spouse?
So if you are the spouse applying, it's going to look at the veteran, it's going to look at your overall family income. So if you're married, they're going to be looking at your spouses as well. So yeah, 123,600, or that's not income, sorry, that's your savings. Your income, to qualify for pension, you have to be in or below the congressional recognition of what that looks like for poverty, which I think is like 200% below the poverty line. I have some numbers here, I think. So in order to, let's see, they go by like a single veteran, for instance, your maximal annual pension rate can't exceed 13,000. It's really low. Like if you're, your income can't exceed that amount. So a veteran with a spouse or one dependent is 17,700. You can kind of see these on the VA website, and they increase with the Social Security too.
Okay.
But what we do, I wanted to go over, to go into that a little bit further. What I like to do is you set the, so if you have medical expenses, for instance, you're paying for prescriptions, you're paying to go to the doctor, co-pays, you're paying for things like Depends or gauze or other things to kind of help throughout your, all your medical stuff. You can offset the cost of your income by bringing that down with your medical expenses. So I look at
like a spend down.
Right. So I look at everything. So if you make X amount of dollars because you have retirement or something like that, I look at your medical expenses and what you pay out of pocket if you're covering for in-home care and other things. So we kind of lap those over and try to equal at zero so you can meet the aid and attendance requirement.
Okay. And another question that came in is, from Carrie Lynn Edge, would an adult special needs children of veterans be included in the umbrella of eligible benefits?
Okay. Yeah. So an adult special needs children. Yeah. So as long as they meet the requirement that's set by the VA for dependency, that means that they had to have most likely had their disability prior to the age of 18 or upon birth, and you've been in care for them as, all the way up into adult, they're your dependents. The same thing is for compensation. If you want to add a dependent on and you have an adult child who's disabled or what have you, you have to put them on as a dependent, but they have to meet that eligibility criteria. Also, children that are in school, so in college, for instance, above the age of 18, they may also be eligible as a dependent.
Wow, that's awesome. So it really sounds like the aid and attendance benefit can help financially cover the cost of the care that people need, particularly if they need memory care or an assisted living facility.
Yeah, it's not a lot. It's not a lot extra. I want to be very transparent about that. It does help offset the cost. So typically you're going to see a veteran receiving about $19.12 a month. A veteran and a spouse together would receive about $2,266. And then a surviving spouse is even less at $1,230. But $1,230 additional that you wouldn't have received might help in some instances. So
Yeah, sometimes it's that little extra that allows people to stay home for as long as possible. Do your services cost anything? How does that work? Do they have to pay for your help?
No. It's actually, so anytime that anybody is helping you with an initial application for anything, it's actually against the law for them to charge you. So don't ever let anybody charge you to fill out an application for VA benefits. It should be 100% free. The way people can get around that is if, for instance, you have to file an appeal for, a denial, for instance, with the VA, then a lawyer can then charge on the back end of a percentage of what you're going to receive in a lump sum. But VSOs, veteran service officers, through VFW and vets, all of those organizations, we're going to be free. And that was a congressional policy prior to, well before I was born. But yeah, so go see a VSO because we're going to be the ones that are going to not charge you, and we're going to do a really good job.
Awesome. And so one of the other questions, can family members help people fill that out, or is there like a confidentiality? Sometimes our seniors really need the help of the family members to do their paperwork.
Yeah. So I typically see, so when I'm filling out aid and attendance claims, I'm typically seeing the child or, the child of a veteran, an adult child of a veteran who comes in and says, hey, my parent is in this home or needs this assistance. Happy to facilitate. The veteran needs to sign the documents. The VA requires the veteran to sign. If the veteran can't sign, even with an X, then there has to be an appointed power of attorney that the VA recognizes. So you have to go through the process of it's not a power of attorney through your city or your state, it's a power of attorney through the VA. So you're looking at a fiduciary at that point, which again, a VSO can help navigate. But if the veteran does sign with an X, then we just need 2 witness signatures right underneath that to make sure that the VA identifies that it's okay.
Awesome. And Rachel, if you could share your contact information, and then I'll post that out for people so that way they'll be able to do that. Yeah, I really appreciate you taking the time to explain this. I think it's one of those benefits that are out there that can help a lot of people, but people don't know to ask. And if we don't know to ask, then we don't receive the help we need. And staying home for as long as possible is critical these days. So I really appreciate you coming on and talking about this today. This has been awesome. And thank you for your help in getting this going as well. You've been a tremendous help.
Oh, you're great. I just think you're wonderful. So thank you. And again, I'm sorry it's so complex, but see a VSO. I promise it's going to be so much easier, and they'll help navigate the whole thing for you. So thank you again. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you. So I met my next guest at an event last fall and was blown away by him, the information that he has available. My next guest is the Veteran Outreach Specialist at the Providence Vet Center, which is actually located in Warwick. I'd like to welcome Paul Santilli.
Hello, everybody. Deb, thanks for having me. And
Thank you.
behind the scenes man, Ben, we have a PowerPoint slide. So when I slide, general public, that means for you too. So as I'm waiting for the slideshow to pop up, here it comes. Quick highlight is that the Vet Center, here it is. So we'll go through it anyway. So Vet Center, we are nationwide organization. Ben, slide. Might be a little bit of a lag, so I'll just start talking and hopefully it'll catch up. So the slide is about myself. I am Paul Santilli. I'm a licensed clinical social worker here at the Vet Center. There's only one of us in Rhode Island. Multiple other states have multiple. Massachusetts has 6. Connecticut has 4. That's for the neighboring areas. But again, we are in fact nationwide. So I bring this slide up for a reason. In face-to-face audiences, a lot of the time it engages in questions. But for this purpose, I want it to be that if you are an employee of the Vet Center, you can be military, you can be retired, or you could be a complete civilian. So this is me. I am a veteran and still currently serving. But if that causes you to talk more, great. If it causes you to talk less, we have other employees who are not military as well. Slide, please. All right, so then this is going to be a video that we're not going to show you. Ben, please, to the next slide after that. Beautiful. All right, so the Vet Centers, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to tell you what I told you. So this is kind of the Cliff Notes table of contents. So what we provide here at the Vet Center is outpatient counseling. We're nationwide. We're congressionally funded. One of the things I hate is the word free. Nothing is free. You sweat for it, you bleed for it, or somebody else pays for it. So when you come to the Vet Center, you'll never see a bill. And that's why I say it's prepaid for by your military service. Slide, please. So a little backstory about the Vet Centers. The Vietnam veterans came home and they didn't have a warm welcome. So Vietnam War technically ended in 1775. Nice try. 1975. And they didn't have a warm welcome. So the Vietnam veterans established these vet centers, and they became so popular that in 1979, big government, big VA said, we want to buy you out and we want you to do what you're doing. Luckily, the veterans at the time said, we agree with some stipulations, which I'll get into on the upcoming slides. But to tell you up front, it is who they hire and their confidentiality. So slide, please. So with confidentiality, we are federal employees, but we still are mandated reporters. So if you are actively suicidal or homicidal or neglecting elderly or children, we are to mandate that. But outside of that, especially if you're still serving in a military capacity, what you say here stays here. Now, the DoD, Department of Defense, and the VA have file sharing agreements. By congressional mandate, we are exempt from that. So if you're still in, you know the importance of being able to carry a security clearance, to be worldwide deployable, to carry a weapon. So these are things that are in place that you can get help because we want to retain you. We want to keep you healthy to fight the mission. But at the same time, if there is an imminent danger, we will report that. But we'll do it with the individual. We'll make it as comfortable as possible. We don't want you to fear seeking help. And this is part of that confidentiality is why it's so important. All right, next slide, please, Ben. All right, so vet center demographics, because this is on Facebook, this slide is actually relevant because these are the nationwide statistics. So when you come to a vet center, you are guaranteed to get a professional, somebody who's licensed in some degree or another. Maybe they be a psychologist, a social worker, whatever their certification is in. And then you'll have that split between veterans and non-veterans. Again, there are pros and cons for each individual for who they get partnered up with. And then, so not only veteran versus non-veteran, but also male versus female. Again, pros and cons to each, and the person receiving the counseling, they are in charge. So we want to make them as comfortable and we want to make them as productive as possible when they're in counseling. Beautiful. Slide, please. All right, so mission statement, pretty much it's, we deal with readjustment needs. When you enter the military, they do a lot of wonderful things to teach you how to confront the enemy, how to talk, how to do certain items. But when you come back and you're back in the American environment, some of those wonderful things that they teach you don't exactly go with daily life. So we're here to help you readjust from military environment to civilian environment. Slide. And I like this picture because oversimplifying it, people think when you join the military, this is what you get. Yeah, you get a uniform, you might get a weapon, and then here's a backpack full of all these lovely things. We deal with this on a regular basis, and each person may exhibit or show their behaviors of their either disability or way of life. It can manifest themselves with a behavior from the light end, you know, biting your fingernails, or to the heavy end, flashbacks and other things. So I like this slide because it's a quick, real down and dirty of, yes, we deal with that. All right, slide please, Ben. All right, so here we are. I said a whole lot up to this point. Now I want to break it down a little bit. So when somebody comes to the vet center, what do we actually do? So individual counseling is done, and that can be done in a lot of different ways. We have the old time way from Freudian, big beard, smoking a pipe, staring off into the ether, or modern times where it's more of a modern setting. Sometimes you'll wonder if you're in a corporate setting or like a counseling setting. That's good. And having that ability for the client to decide where they're comfortable is good. Group counseling, we have 3 different types of group. 2 of them I'll get into now. So the first one is theater specific. Everybody in this room has been to Iraq, Afghanistan, Vietnam. We still have a Korean War and World War II group. It's awesome when you see them pulling into the parking lot. But we merged the 2 because of the numbers. The second type of group that we offer is treatment specific. So everybody in this room has PTSD, anger, depression, and they want to learn how to lower the severity of what they have and how they are displaying it to the world. And then it's also building up that camaraderie because as veterans know, we talk a certain way, we walk a certain way. And so having that group counseling is good. For the family and couples counseling, it is not uncommon for a veteran to have 3 counselors. The first one for their individual needs, the second one for the significant other's individual needs, and then a third counselor to handle the family or to handle them as a unit. This deals with bias. We don't want anyone to be biased. We want to make sure that all the needs are being addressed up front, and that's why it's very common to have multiple counselors partnered with one veteran or one case. For the other things that you see here on this list, you can consider us the dancing traffic cop, just as the previous speaker, Rachel, was saying. If you need something, you come in and you tell us, and if we can't do it, we will make sure you have that warm handoff Not just call this phone number, but hey, I want you to speak with, provided a name, phone number, and possibly email address. Slide, please. So as we're part of the VA, but we're a little different. The big thing outside of the confidentiality is our eligibility. So first and most commonly, it's a combat theater deployment. We verify this by the DD-214, which is your discharge paperwork from the military. And on that, we are looking for, an expeditionary medal, a campaign medal, Vietnam War medal, something to that effect. And I would say roughly 90% of the people who come here fall into that category. If you do not have your DD-214, we have ways of getting that as well. Number 2 is survivors of military sexual trauma and harassment. Now, this is a very touchy subject, and rightfully so, but survivors, take a breath. We're not going to ask you for paperwork. We're not going to ask you for police reports or anything that you filed. If you come into our building and you want to address surviving a sexual assault or harassment, we have a clinician here who specifically deals with that, and she's been dealing with sexual trauma and harassment cases for in excess of 15 years. And eligibility number 3, unfortunately, the service member, while they were in service, has passed away. May that be from a training accident, killed in action, or a suicide. We are able to see their surviving family with bereavement and whatever else they need. A lot of times these cases deal with making sure that the funeral arrangements are squared away or the burial benefits from the VBA are covered. And my favorite is the humanitarian. So if what I'm saying is a lot and fast, because I know I'm on a timeline and I am from Rhode Island, so I talk with my hands and I talk fast, don't worry about eligibility. If you need something, come here and we'll figure out how to help you out. Even if we can only see you 1 or 2 times, we're going to find the people in our community that truly support veterans and get you linked up with them. All right, slide. This slide is the 3rd category of the groups I was talking about. So a lot of the modern veterans, the post 9/11 and forward, they're saying, listen, we honor our elder vets. We don't just want to eat donuts and drink coffee. We want to be active. We want to get out there and have fun. So we started recreation groups. And again, these groups, the veteran will never pay anything for. Some of them, it's just the veteran only. Some of them is veteran and 1 guest, and some of them are veteran and bring the whole tribe. So depending on the season, I'm not going to take you skiing or snowboarding in the middle of August. And with COVID restrictions, as a side note, we do that. So we go skiing, snowboarding, summer, we're going surfing. We're currently in the middle of building up our scuba programming. Golf, we have 2 different agencies that we partner with. Art group, emotional therapy. And so this is good because veterans, you need to have that place where it's safe. And if you use some of that dark humor that you used to survive when you were in the military, you're still there and you can still do it. If you are surrounded by civilians as well, the civilians are learning like, yeah, we talk different, we act different, but don't fear us. So there is that healthy duality between doing just veterans and doing the veteran and civilian cohorts. Again, with these groups, they are high ticket value. So we want to make sure that we send thank you out to the contributors who make these events possible. All that is done through Big VA Hospital and voluntary services. So yeah, that is groups. Next is the Mobile Vet Center. And because this is nationwide, I'll spend a little time on this slide. If you are out in a larger geographic state and their vet centers are sparse, we have these mobile vet centers that go out into the community. They act as counseling. Inside of each of these are 2 counseling offices. And then you'll notice on top, there's a satellite package. This is important because we just don't operate in a sterile environment. During the 9/11 attacks, Boston Marathon, city bombings, these roll out and are usually on site for the already patriotic events. They turn into a communications package for either command centers, tactical operations centers, or as far as a tiny office in DC where real-time decisions are being made. So these are great. If you see them out in the community, give them a little beep, give them a little wave. All of them will have a barcode as a graphic on the side. If you take out your phone and take a picture of that barcode, it's going to bring you up to a zip code. You type in your zip code of where you live, and it'll tell you where the closest vet center is to you. I actually believe that is also embedded in this slide as well. Thank you. And so this slide is all about we're human. We have non-traditional hours. We work nights, days, and some weekends. But in the event you call and nobody answers, you will be redirected to the combat call center. This is where you will get a human 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It could be as simple as I have an appointment with Paul and I need to reschedule, flat tire, kid's got runny nose, whatever, that's great. This call center will then say, hey, Mr. Santilli, John Doe had to cancel his appointment. Please schedule with him. That's beautiful. In the event you have not established care and you are in fact crisis, you can call and speak with a human, multilingual. And again, most of these have the minimum of a master's degree. They can ground you out. They can keep you safe. And then they'll let us know that you called. I will say this next slide speaks for itself. If anytime you are depressed or feeling suicidal, reach out to somebody. The veteran community has a reputation for high suicide rates and lethality means. But again, reach out and we will work with you where you're at and keep you safe and healthy. So if you are in Rhode Island and you're viewing this, here is our picture. We are built into the community. As I mentioned earlier, the Vietnam veterans established who we are. So there's no flashing neon signs. We want to be discreet. We want to keep you private. So we're built right into the community. Plenty of parking spaces. And for those of you who actually are familiar with the area, the owner of this law also owns the Dell's Lemonade across the street and what used to be the Brooks across the street. So we got plenty of parking. That should never be an issue. Rhode Island being the size of your thumb. Where's the camera? There it is. Boom. If you don't want to drive all the way, we have contract programs in Middletown and Martha's Vineyard. For many people who work or live in Massachusetts and want to travel, we have very close relationships with the vet centers in those areas as well. So here's that barcode I was telling you about. If you are not in Rhode Island, just take a picture with your smartphone, type in your zip code, and it'll tell you the nearest vet center is 18 miles northwest of your location. It'll give you the phone number, the address. We are a phone call away. And then the last slide is always that wonderful slide of questions. So I've told you who we are, what we do, how we do it, the fact that we are free, and that the veteran is the ones always driving the boat. So with that being said, if there are questions, you can ask them now. If it's a specific question or detailed, then I don't want to break HIPAA or privacy, I believe my email address will pop up or the phone number right there, the 401 area code. And again, I will check the chat box here. And at this point, I think Deb will come back and
So, Paul,
facilitate that portion.
I have to tell you, as you were speaking and you put that code up, I did take a picture, and that picture will work even if you're taking the picture through your computer screen. So if you're looking for that, like Paul said, literally just take a picture of that little black and white box, and it really does bring it up on your phone. That was really cool. So you offer services for family members as well? You can help the veterans' families?
Yes. So everyone here can provide services, counseling, but we have two specific marriage and family counselors here on this property here in Rhode Island. So what the one caveat is, we want to make sure that even though the spouse is coming in, that it is tied to the military service. So if the spouse, let's just say a female wife, comes in because they're depressed, we need to tie her depression into the veteran's service, because everything needs to go back to the veteran. As you imagine, with the divorce rates being what they are, if you are married to a veteran, we can usually make that happen without finagling anything. But in the case of children, if little Timmy is in school, depending on COVID, and he's punching other students, okay, is that because little Timmy's a mean boy, or is it because his dad's deployed and he's just acting out with anger? So we want to make sure we can tie it back into the veteran's world and life, because guess what? Little Timmy is making problems for the service member, dad, mom, whoever. So we want to help with that, and we can do that as well.
That's great. And you brought up something interesting, and I know things have changed over the years, particularly since Vietnam. Does someone have to be an opposite sex spouse, or do you work with any individuals in the LGBTQI community?
We have everyone from sexual orientation, gender, outlook, whether they are mid-transitioning or not transitioning. Yes, we do that.
Excellent, excellent. And you said if someone is depressed or suicidal or homicidal, that you'll reach out. What does that look like? Do you call 911 and the police show up, or an ambulance, or how does that look, or does it depend?
So everything's a pendulum swing. If we're here in the office and we already have a rapport with the individual, a lot of the times it'll say, hey, Mr. Doe, John Doe, you're saying some things that are concerning to me. Can we have a plan? Mm-hmm. And sometimes telling somebody can be telling the spouse or a family member, mother, father, somebody. Other times it does need to go up to the next rung, and that can be police or law enforcement. We work very closely with all the law enforcement in Rhode Island. And even if it's a temporary hold of my weapon, we can make those things happen. Because we just don't want you to feel empty or vulnerable where somebody comes in and clears out your armory. So depending on the situation, it's fluid, but a lot of the times we make them part of it. So this way there's no surprises, no random knocks on the door. But in the event that we don't have that luxury, then yes, we will call the police, and sometimes we will go on the ride along. But if we're doing that, it's for a reason. We're not just there to sandbag it.
Right. And I think the statistics say that there are 22 veterans a day that take their life. And that's not okay. And we as a community need to work really hard to improve that statistic. And if it's getting them connected with the vet center, or, resources that Rachel might be able to connect them to, or Dora, or Kasim, or Lawrence, that's what we need to do as a community to really wrap our arms around our veterans. 22 a day just breaks my heart. And I've seen some data that of those 22, it tends to be individuals who are just coming home from being deployed, or our older veterans. And I know a lot of times loneliness, isolation, depression, those happen as we age because we are alone. And now in the age of COVID, where we're isolated in our houses, makes it that much harder. Well, this has been great.
There's a lot of talk about isolation and solitude. I kind of wish that it wasn't social distancing and it was just physical distancing, because it's kind of that mixed messaging. Some veterans actually thrive in this chaos, right? Because that's what we're trained to do. Others, it takes what they already have and multiplies it by bad. So again, depending on what the situation is, we're in tune to what the data says, and we are flexible. Many veterans say semper gumby, being flexible and being able to ride the wave. So
that's awesome. Thank you.
Any other questions? I can't see them, but
yep.
My email address popped up.
Yep.
There,
that's
we'll go from there.
Awesome. I thank you so much for participating. This has been great, and I'll make sure that your contact information is out there. Please reach out if you have any questions for any of our presenters. We're not done yet. I do need to thank the Lieutenant Governor's Office, Ben Barber, behind the scenes, Office of the Veteran Services, our sponsors, Raytheon, Cross Country Mortgage, England Studio, Concord Home Health, our supporters, my board of directors, my amazing development volunteer, Judy Fortier, and amazing communications intern, Gabriella Zuccolo. And now, if you would all join me as I welcome Father Phil Saloy, to lead us in a closing prayer and a moment of silence for those veterans, for those military members who did not come home. Welcome, Father Phil.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Deborah. Let us pray. Dear Lord, today we honor our veterans, worthy men and women who gave their best when they were called upon to serve and protect their country. We pray that you will bless them, Lord, for their unselfish service in the continual struggle to preserve our freedoms, our safety, and our country's heritage for all of us. Bless them abundantly for the hardships they faced, for the sacrifices they made, for their many contributions to America's victories over tyranny and oppression. We respect them, we thank them, we honor them, we are proud of them, and we pray that you will watch over these special people and bless them with peace and happiness. We must never forget those that heretofore have not returned home to their families, those we call prisoners of war and missing in action. We call on you, dear Lord, to help all those seeking a full accounting and to bring them all home to their families and loved ones. And now let us have a moment of silence. Pause for a moment to remember all of our POWs and MIAs, those who are still not returned. In your holy name, O Lord, we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. I am very grateful for everyone's support. I hope that you share this information widely with your friends and family, as you know that there are many people out there who need this information. Thank you again. Be well.